Yeah, I'm trying to get
her by the feet.
All right, so they just saw some bees balling up on something, and
yeah.
We just got a queen.
It's a little queen.
But
yeah.
do I need to get those nurse bees that's in there with her?
Yeah, out there.
So what is that one that just hatched?
Okay, so we have Lane down here put a swarm into a box yesterday, and he just shook the bees into the box. And when we got here today, the queen is on the bottom of the bottom board, and they're actually building comb outside of it. We tried to catch that queen and she flew off. We came down here a while ago and there's a queen on the bottom of another hive, and we tried to catch her and she flew off. So now we have this hive open, and there's a ball of bees down here in the corner that Ben just noticed. I start digging around in there, and there's a queen in there that you're trying to ball up and kill. So evidently it's not the queen that belongs in this hive. So we have a queen that's just been flying around here today.
You think this is her?
Well, we're gonna go back to that nuke and check, see if she came back.
So I'm gonna guess, while we had this super sitting over here on the ground, she landed on this super, and now I just put her back in here, but I opened this hive up to show Ben something else, and they're trying to ball her and kill her.
Yeah.
So we just gained another queen.
Yeah.
So if we take her down to this nuke and lay her on top, and they baby her, they don't try to kill her,
right,
that's that queen.
Because in your, how you move so fast, is that what you're saying you would do? Just lay that up there?
I would go down there and just lay it on top.
You wouldn't go through there looking for her?
Nope. If they start trying to ball her and kill her, it's not their queen. If you lay it on there and they start trying to take their tongues in there and feed her through that cage, that's their queen.
Did that look like a virgin?
No. That looked like a little bit longer queen.
So you raised that up to say, I thought that was good. During swarm season, this is what you do?
Yeah, so
he's got a deep up here.
Okay.
So during swarm season, you know, this queen excluder's not on here.
Okay.
Let's get this off so it don't confuse anybody. Hopefully our queen won't walk up in there. But during swarm season, all I really do is go along and tip my top box up and look for queen cells.
And you said you do that like every 3 days?
If I can, I'm out there every 3 or 4 days.
Okay.
And if I catch queen cells before they're capped, a lot of time the mother queen's still in here. If I can find her, I'll pull her out and swarm her with some bees and some brood. Then also I'll pull each frame that has queen cells on it and put them in a nuke to make another split, and leave 1 or 2 queen cells in the hive.
So when you say you swarm her, you're making a new hive out of the old queen from this box?
We call it an artificial swarm. We're actually going to take her, take a bunch of bees, take a frame of brood and a frame of food, and start up a nuke with our old queen. If we don't do that, she's going to be hanging in a tree and she's going to fly off, and Ben will lose half his honey and half his bees.
You're
and
just
his
going
old
ahead
queen.
and making her swarm.
Right, so I'm artificially swarming.
Yeah.
And you just said that reason I didn't get very much honey the other day is because all my hives have swarmed, and they took probably half the honey that was stored up.
Half the honey, because that's why swarms are so loud when they're flying, because they're so gorged full of food that they're trying to fly so hard because they're so heavy, and they're taking half your honey and half your bees with them.
Yeah.
So if you can control that swarming, you can control your queens and you can control your honey, and you'll get more honey out of it.
Do you think beekeepers are just, some of them, especially new ones, are just terrified of swarming?
They're like me. Once I hit about my 3rd year mark, I called my mentor and said, how can I stop my hive from swarming?
Right.
I want no swarming. And he said, good luck.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. You can try and try and try to control it, but out of 10, you're still going to have a couple of them swarm. You're just not going to be able to control it.
You just got to work with it.
Right. And trying to stay ahead of it, that's what I'm talking about, like every 3 days. And eventually you'll get burned out on that and say, all right, well, I'm not going today, I'll go tomorrow. And you'll show up and there will be a bunch of capped queen cells, which pretty much to me means the hive's already swarmed.
Right.
And you'll go in there, there'll be no eggs, no larvae, just capped brood. That means that queen's been gone, you know, for 4 or 5, 6 days already. And now that hive's already swarmed. So now you've lost her. So now you got to wait for another queen to hatch. She's got to go out and mate. 9 days later, come back, start laying eggs. It kind of sets your hive back a little bit.
Hopefully mated and comes back.
Hopefully she comes back. This was hanging off the bottom of this. So Lane shook a swarm that was inside this planter. He didn't put any comb in here, he just shook all the bees in here. And when we first came and looked at this, we could tell that the bees are in here working and they're pulling out comb, but there's no eggs. And I can see they're pulling out comb right there, which is a good sign. That means things are happening. I mean, this is what swarms are supposed to do, is pull out comb. But then we looked on the bottom. So there's a huge ball of bees here on the bottom, and I started getting handfuls, and we ended up finding a piece of comb. And we did see the queen. I tried to catch her and she flew off. So again, I'm gonna go down here and try to just...
Get that frame.
Oh yeah, where is it?
There you go.
So again, we think that queen odor is down here, and I'm gonna start trying to get bees and just get handfuls of them. And I'm gonna see if I can find that queen again, to see if she's in here or see if it's the queen that Ben has in his pocket. And all we do is just go through here looking for her. And then if I don't see her real quick, I'll just go up here and get a handful, shake, and as I do this, I'm looking for her again to see if I can find her in here. And I'm just gonna keep doing this and keep trying to get handfuls of bees off of here without smashing any and getting stung, and see if I can find this queen. And a lot of times if you just hold your hand here, you'll see her rotate through. And I'll rub around and see if I can see her. But this swarm's gonna mess around and leave on them if we don't get them back inside this hive. Now I don't see her. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna get this queen that Ben has in his pocket. Come in here like a bull in a china shop.
Making sure you didn't get run over.
There's even bees with pollen on their feet. And of course, a lot of people are asking me if I'm getting stung doing this. I think these bees are still gorged. They're still in swarm mode. And they don't have any brood to protect. So they don't really have a hive to protect right now, a colony.
There she is.
Oh yeah, and there's our queen right there. We'll try to keep her in the sun.
Okay.
So we know there's a queen in here. So let's see, let me see if I can get my queen clip out here. I still see where she's at.
There you go.
Okay, there she is. So these are queen clips.
Well, that's pretty cool.
That she can't fit through, but the workers can fit through here. So now I have her inside here. The reason I'm doing this, there might be 2 or 3 queens in here.
That's pretty
Ben
cool.
had a good eye there. So we can leave her here like this, and the worker bees can go in and out of that clip and take care of her, but she can't get out. And drones can't get in or out of there. Now if we place her inside this box, hopefully the rest of these bees will just go inside this box and we don't need to do any more work to this. But they sure are tight, hanging on to each other like they're trying to swarm again.
So what I done on my last couple after we had several swarm is I put them in a queen cage and put her in between a couple frames for 2 days.
Yep.
There's no problem with that, right?
No, you could get this right here and you could tie a string around it and hang it in between here, and a lot of times I'll leave a string hanging out the front of the hive so I'll know I have a clip in there with queen in it. And I'll come back in a day or 2 and release her.
And most people might be like, well, why do you do that? That to me is getting them more to start building their hive here and not wanting to swarm right after we catch them.
Right, and they're going in there and rubbing on her and getting her odor, and they're rubbing it around the hive, and that'll just make these bees stay in this hive better and better. So now that we have her, now we got a queen in Ben's pocket, and we don't know where she came from.
Yep.
She might have been a virgin that returned from a flight and she's lost and don't know which hive to go into, and she's getting ready to get killed.
Yeah, that was pretty amazing that y'all.
Yeah. So this is all part of beekeeping. It's all just from the hip a lot of the times.
Look at how these are all acting for her. I mean, they're all over it. You've got worker bees in there, but like you said, they can also go through these gaps, because that's gap the same as a queen excluder, right?
Yes, that's correct.
And she's full of all her eggs and can't.
Yeah, she's too fat. Well, if she's a mated queen, boy, be careful. You'll pinch that little thing and open.
How about I do this?
Just lay her down there.
Yeah.
So now these bees out here on the outside, they will start smelling that she's on the inside. The bees inside will start fanning her pheromone, and these bees will start going in, and there's an entrance right there, and they're already dogpiling the entrance trying to get in there to her. So I think we've got this one beat.
What I was going to say a while ago, that queen that I've got here may have come out of here. This is where I've got some, I had a bunch of queen cells that I put in those roller pins.
Yeah.
But there was also a queen cell on a plastic frame that I couldn't pull off. I was afraid I'd damage it.
Yeah.
So it's in there. She could have been out.
Yeah. Well, look at the distance. I mean, it's right here. She could have landed, because that's the one we were in.
Yes.
Yeah, that could very easily be it.
So that could be the mystery queen y'all found on that other hive?
Yeah.
Could be.
She just, so they have trouble a little bit finding their
They do.
hive?
Well, when they come back into a bee yard, initially they use tree lines and highways and stuff to find the bee yard.
Yeah.
And then when they come in, they kind of look at how many hives there are and start narrowing down where they go, and they start using odor.
Mm-hmm.
Well, since he's got multiple queen cells in here, there's all kind of queen pheromone going on in here. And we have hives open and we're standing here. She might have just went into the wrong box.
Right.
And that happens a lot.
And about met her demise.
Yep. And yeah, we saved her life.
So that's the queen in Ben's pocket. And then
Yeah, the one
now
we
what
found.
what are y'all gonna do now? Get a frame of brood
We're
to
going
give
to
this
try to
other
go
one?
through one of these other hives. We're going to find a frame of brood and put it in with those bees in that nuke box, that swarm.
Okay.
They have nothing to take care of. So they're still a little crazy right now. If you give them a frame of babies to take care of, and you have that queen in there, there's a 99% chance they're going to stay.
They just need a job.
If we just leave them alone right now, they're like teenagers, they may just fly away.
Yeah.
And even abandon that queen, they'll even do that. So
Wow.
if we give them a frame of brood, that really helps lock them in that box. Okay. Don't panic.
I'm gonna put this one back in here.
She's a good looking queen. Now see how long that queen is right there? Now that's probably a mated queen, and we can tell she is laying eggs in here, and she's not a little shorty. She has trouble flying because she's longer and heavier. Another thing about a queen too, she can't walk backwards because her abdomen is so long. Okay. So when you're trying to catch a queen, she can only turn left or right and go forward.
So this box right here, Ben is trying to raise queens?
Yes. Yes, he has found multiple queen cells and he's put them inside these cages, and he's trying to let these bees feed and maintain temperature like an incubator and hatch out these queens. And when they hatch out inside this cage, and they need to be fed immediately, and these bees are feeding them. And then he can come and take these queens and put them in another hive and make another split, another split, another split, until he just runs out of equipment.
Do you guys find it interesting that the women do all the work in these beehives, or is it
I
just
really
me?
don't want to talk about that.
Oh yeah, there's a queen in here.
The female bees, I mean, do everything. That's why we call them the worker bees. The drone bees just eat, go mate with a queen, and when they mate with a queen, they die. So in here, it's all female bees.
What's that about?
What was that? Yeah.
Just thought it was interesting.
So I want to pull all this off. This is what they call Berkey. Is that correct?
Berkey. They didn't attach it to the foundation. They're just building at random.
And the reason for that is this don't look like it's got very much wax on there. Plus I had a big gap in between the two frames for these to fit.
So spacing is everything in a beehive. We call it bee space. It's 3/8 of an inch. And because he had these frames too far apart, instead of building on the comb, on the foundation, they built comb just randomly between there. And that's what happens sometimes. So now we're trying to find the queen, and she's hiding behind this comb.
And that's a good way to kill her.
Yep. So you got that thing?
Mm-hmm.
So she's gonna come running out of there.
Well, the way I've been doing it is I've been laying it on the side and blowing, and she'll run out.
Oh, well. How about
Let's see it, Ben.
Yeah, get the blowing, Ben.
Are you watching for it?
I'm watching. I'm not gonna grab her. I'm 0 for 2 right now. I'm trying to pick one up. I see you can use smoke, but you can also blow on bees and they move away. Okay, why don't you stop?
There she is.
Because they're going faster. Now we're going to want to put this queen in this cage, and like I said, she can't walk backwards, so she just walked right in there. And I'm going to want to put some tenants in there with her. So I'm just going to grab a couple of bees. I like to grab these bees over here that have their head stuck in a hole, because they're feeding, and if I can grab them and stick them in there, they're feeding and they're full of food. So I'm trying to do this so the camera can see me. So I'm going to grab one with my left hand here, grab it by the handles, which is the wings, and the queen keeps trying to get out, and then I'm going to put her down in there, just that quick. Grab another one by the handles, get the queen back down in there, and just put her in there. And I'm going to do this probably 5 times.
Okay, so what is the point of what y'all just did? Why did y'all catch her in there?
Well, this is like a mini mating nuke is what we call it. It's not a beehive. It's just here to mate queens.
Okay.
So she went out and mated, and she came back and she's laying eggs. She's a proven mated queen. So now if somebody needs a queen, we have a mated queen to sell. And Ben can sell now that he's been inspected. But now if he goes down through here and finds a queenless hive, he has a mated queen to help out his beehives.
But how long can she live in this little cage?
Oh, if we put her in a hive like this that has bees in here and there's honey and stuff, she can live quite a while. I mean, a couple of weeks inside this cage, because these bees are feeding her.
Okay.
The problem is she's a laying queen, and we don't want her to stop laying for more than like 2 weeks.
Right.
Otherwise, she may not start laying again.
Okay.
So the faster you can get her into an active beehive, it'd be better.
Okay, so I was just telling them on a video about all the income streams you can have from bees. What do you think about raising queens as someone who's looking for some income?
Well, if you can raise good quality queens and they're laying good and doing a good job, queen bees are $35 a piece. I mean, that's $35 for a bud, and they just slowly keep creeping up and getting more and more. So if somebody wanted to raise 10 queens a month to sell to a migratory beekeeper that always needs queens, or somebody that's trying to expand like me, I'm just constantly trying to expand, you know, that's a $350 a month income. That's a car payment a month.
Exactly.
So queens are a fairly easy way to make a little bit of money with in beekeeping. Honey is heavy, it's back-breaking, it takes a lot of stainless steel that's expensive, you got to store it, it's a food item, but you can use honey to make money throughout the winter, and that's what I do. I extract all my honey, store it, and then slowly sell it throughout the winter when I have no income from my bees. Also, you can just sell bees. You can sell nukes, you can sell pulled out comb on frames. People catch a swarm and they would love to have a frame of pulled out comb, and you can just sell that frame of brown comb for swarm traps and just for people to get swarms started. So there's multiple ways to make money. And also you can do pollination. You know, somebody has 5 acres of strawberries, you can go put 10 hives there for 2 or 3 weeks, pollinate for them, and then bring your hives back home. Just before you do all that though, they have to be inspected for health, so you're not moving in on top of somebody and making a decision. So I took the super off and the queen excluder off, and you can tell, I mean, this thing is full of bees. So if Ben did not have another box on this one, I'd tell him he needed to put another box on it yesterday. And this one looks like it's blowing and going. I would not mind if this has brood, quite a bit of brood. I would have no trouble pulling a frame or 2 or 3 or 4 out of this one to start up more nukes for him to do something with these other queens. So usually our outside frame is food. And what they're doing here, they're measuring You see how they're hanging on to each other? They're measuring to see how much more room that they have to build comb.
That's funny.
And then we got capped honey at the top. There's our drone just sitting there doing nothing. And all these girls are doing all the work.
And if you'll look at this frame, this is one of those that I just put the little wax strip right up here at the top. What I should do, or what I need to do in the future, is run wire or fishing string or something through the middle in like an X pattern or something to give it some support. Because if you turn it on its side, it's gonna go kaput.
So we're gonna put this in between there. There's probably no danger of the queen being on that frame. I'm gonna head towards the center here.
So how do you know that there's no danger of her being on there?
Well, it's an outside frame. It's mainly a food frame, and it's not complete yet.
Okay.
And usually queens are not running around on food frames.
Okay.
Now this is more of a center frame. We can tell there's mainly just cat brood around the edge. So we're expecting to see eggs and larvae in the center. If I don't see eggs and larvae, that's fine, because there's a place here for a queen to lay, and that queen down there needs a place to lay eggs. Plus this is giving them food, and it's giving them nurse bees that are getting ready to hatch. So this would be a good frame for me to move down there. And there's not any eggs in the middle of this, but there is an active queen cell. And this is what I was talking about earlier, tipping up a hive and looking. And what I mean by active, I mean there is a egg and there is a larvae inside there, and you see these bees are tending to that queen cell.
Okay.
So I have a feeling it is a active queen cell.
So they're getting ready to swarm?
Well, so it's not capped yet, and I'm not seeing any eggs or larvae. So for that old queen that's big and been laying eggs, for her to be able to swarm, they have to stop feeding her and run her around and skinny her up and let her exercise her wings so she can go swarm.
Okay.
So that's one reason probably we're not seeing any eggs and larvae. They might have shut her down for the last week, and then they're raising a new queen, and she might have already swarmed. So if you wanted to, you could pull this frame, and there's a capped queen cell right there. You could pull this frame and go put it into a nuke and let them raise another queen. So here's another split. So what one of our plans is to take this frame of brood out of this hive and take it down there to that swarm that has that queen in the clip. The thing is, we don't want to take these bees, because they smell like this queen, and go down there and put it in that hive. Then the fight would be on.
Yeah.
And they may go in that clip and kill that queen.
Okay.
So we will shake these bees off and take just this frame down there.
Okay.
Ow. As I get stung in the finger. The way we do that, I'm just going to show Ben real quick. I don't bang it. I stick it in here and I give it a good shake. And there we are.
Okay.
And as I'm walking down here, I'll probably give it a couple more shakes, just to try to get the last bit. 5 or 10 bees are not going to matter.
Okay.
So there's pollen,
Little nectar
and nectar and honey, and
You said you don't want to give them brood because you don't want them to have to work it.
I don't want to give them larvae.
Okay.
It's open larvae. They'll have to feed and maintain temp.
Okay.
This right here, all they have to do is maintain temperature.
Okay.
And right now, with it being 90 degrees, it's pretty easy for them to maintain 93 degrees inside that box. And this is all I'm going to give them, just one.
Okay.
See what I can do.
because you want them brood in the middle, right?
Right. We're going to do that. Set our brood in there. Yeah, these clips are not very good about going in there and staying when you put them. The queens have gold legs on them.
Well, that's interesting.
Thanks to another beekeeper teaching me that.
Yeah.
Mr. Turner. But and a lot of times that's what I'm looking for in here is golden legs. And I see her. She's right there. Matter of fact, she just stuck her gold leg outside. Slide that down in there. Slide that down in there, and we'll leave string hanging on the outside, and that way it won't fall all the way down in there. And it's kind of stuck there right now. Put the lid on. Now you can pull that clip back out there easier next time.
All right. So.
And I would release her tonight, tomorrow, the next day. You know, she's ready to get in there and start laying eggs.
So y'all saved a nuke and a life today. Does that feel nice?
It feels special.
We're heroes.
Yeah. I think
Even though the women do all the work.
Yeah. But this swarm had been put in this box, then it was hanging on the outside of the box, building comb off the bottom of the box that we see here, and they were building comb inside the box. So this was getting ready to be a big mistake here in about a week.
Yeah.
Ben was going to call me and say, they're building comb on the outside, and they're laying eggs on the outside. What do I do?
And I've actually seen that here lately on people's posts on, we've got a Facebook group in Arkansas, Central Arkansas newbie beekeepers, or just
I believe
newbie?
that's it right there.
Newbie beekeepers, and they'll show, we've got a swarm cell or a swarm out on the outside of a swarm trap building comb. Well, they just need to coerce them bees inside there.
And there's still quite a few bees out here. I was just kind of wondering if we're going to see another queen, because sometimes swarms will have more than one queen.
What's that about? Just deciding who they like the best? Or?
Well, sometimes you will have a queen hatch, a virgin queen hatch, and she'll go out to mate, and a swarm goes with her. And 4 or 5 unmated queens will go with her, and it'll be chaos.
You want to tell them what you're doing?
So what we've done is we went down there and got that mated queen out of the mini mating nuke that's got the workers in here also. And I'm wanting to learn how to detect whether they're going to accept or reject this queen.
So this was a really strong nuke, but not seeing the queen. It had a queen on June 2nd, but now not finding the queen. So she could have got out to mate and got killed, I guess, and they need a queen.
So usually I figure 9 days. We should see eggs in 9 days, and it's been 10. And we don't even see any evidence of them preparing this hive for a queen to lay eggs. So we put a mated queen in here, and if you can brush these bees off, they're not trying to kill her. So they're wanting a mated queen. They're trying to feed her right now.
So just because they're moving around on there real fast,
Doesn't mean a thing.
spastically,
If I can pick it up and I can brush them off,
yeah, they're not gripped on.
they're not trying to kill her.
Okay.
They're trying to feed her and get her odor and use her.
So how long should I leave her in that cage with him like that?
I would give it a couple hours and then come back out here and release her tonight.
Should I put the lid on that to keep her shaded?
Yeah, we can stick it down in there. You know, you got one out here at the foundation. Or maybe we can pull a frame. I don't know if we can do it. It's probably going to fall all the way at the bottom when you come back out here. So you probably have to pull both of these frames.
Just kind of wedge her in there.
Yeah, just kind of wedge it in there. Let them get used to her. And then tonight come out and pull both of those frames. Pop the cork and let her out.
Well, when we first opened this, you was really impressed by the way they
look.
it out.
Yeah, they're straight and everything looked good and they look gentle.
Right.
But there's no queen activity.
You can see this is the day I caught them.
Yep.
6'2".
There should be a laying queen in there, at least showing evidence of them getting ready to let her lay, and there's not showing any evidence. They're filling every cell full of liquid and pollen.
I really want to thank Danny for coming over, helping go through the hives with me, checking to make sure we had no problems, everything looked good. Go ahead and getting us permitted so we can start selling nukes, queens, and we are ready to go. He doesn't do it very often, but Danny, he's got a YouTube channel, Danny Brewer. We'll go ahead and link that down below. He's got a lot of good knowledge. So go check him out if you're interested in bee videos. If you made it all the way through this video, down in the comments, go ahead and type, "I made it." Might be something in there for you. Thank y'all for watching. Until next time, God bless. If you made it through all the way through this